Episode 67. Tan Hua's house. Tan Hua, I heard that you already broke up with that guy. It was dinner time, and coincidentally, Shen Ling had finished his work for the day. As he prepared dinner, he asked Tan Hua, who was dazed in the living room. Hey, don't call Nan Shan a jerk, Tan Hua pouted when Shen Ling brought up the breakup again. She had started feeling better about it, but now that Shen Ling mentioned it again, how could she not feel down? Okay, fine, but you finally opened your eyes and ended things with him. Don't worry, he isn't worthy of you. I can introduce you to many better men than him. Shen Ling huffed, insisting on calling Nan Shen a jerk. He had allowed that man to date Tan Hua, but just because he lost his memories in that unfortunate incident, he demanded to break up with her. That was unfair. Well, he actually had a feeling that the accident had happened to restore balance. This world was created from a drama that a supreme being loved, and he was here to manage the world created by that being. He hadn't done anything to cause Nan Shen's accident, so it must have been the world's way of correcting things. Nan Shen wasn't supposed to love Tan Hua. The story needed a second male lead. No wonder Nan Shen suddenly lost his memory. That way, he wouldn't remember his feelings for Tan Hua, and since she wasn't his usual type, he broke up with her. Poor Tan Hua. He had already warned her not to get involved with Nan Shen, Mishu, or Ren Yuan, since those three were the most significant figures in this world. But she hadn't listened. Tan Hua was only a side character in this world, she wasn't even supposed to be here. Now, he had a bad feeling would the world force Tan Hua to follow the original story and remove her? If that happened, no, he couldn't interfere with life and death matters. Otherwise, the Supreme Being would punish him. Shen Ling? Dinner is ready, you know? Tan Hua waved her hand in front of Shen Ling, who was so deep in thought that he hadn't even noticed he had already served dinner. He was still piling food onto her plate until it nearly overflowed. Yeah. Shen Ling snapped out of his thoughts and quickly sat down to eat. He looked normal to Tan Hua, but from time to time, he would steal glances at her. If only he could help this girl, but he couldn't control fate. He could swap someone's soul, but he couldn't interfere with life and death. Actually, the moment he had exchanged Tan Hua's soul, he had done it silently, hoping the Supreme Being wouldn't notice. If that entity found out, he would be in serious trouble. Wait, he had almost forgotten that his friend still needed to exchange one more soul from this world. Whose soul would it be? Oh, please, let it not be anyone important. Otherwise, he was finished. Shen Ling, your plate is already empty. Tan Hua's lips twitched as she watched Shen Ling, who kept scooping at his plate with his spoon, even though it was already empty. Huh? Oh, sorry, I was distracted. Shen Ling awkwardly avoided Tan Hua's gaze as he set his spoon down. He couldn't tell Tan Hua about this yet. But maybe she would realize something on her own soon. Now, he felt guilty. He had chosen Tan Hua's soul for the exchange. She was supposed to live a peaceful life in her original world, but here, she was caught in something far beyond her control. How unfair was that? It was his fault. He had only wanted to bring a small change to this world. He had been selfish. If he didn't care so much about Tan Hua, he wouldn't feel guilty at all. But how could he not care for her when she had been so kind to him? This was getting complicated. That night, Shen Ling couldn't sleep out of guilt, while Tan Hua also found herself unable to rest, wondering why Shen Ling had been acting so strangely. A few weeks later. What? You saw Ren Yuan with another girl? Tan Hua had just finished her breakfast when Mishu called her with bad news. Oh no, was this another dramatic misunderstanding like the ones in movies? It was finally happening. Come here, quick! Mishu's voice sounded both sad and angry before she abruptly ended the call. Hearing this, Tan Hua shook her head as she grabbed her things and headed to Mishu's house. It had only been a few weeks since Mishu's mother had passed away, and now, another problem? What happened? Tan Hua arrived at Mishu's house to see her sitting on her bed, alone in her room. There wasn't a single maid around, which confused Tan Hua even more. Usually, there would be maids around, so why didn't she see any? I saw Ren Yuan going to a hotel with a woman, Mishu said softly, letting Tan Hua sit next to her. Have you asked him who that girl was? Tan Hua felt like she was witnessing a real-life drama. She too would feel upset if she saw Nan Shen go to a hotel with another woman, but she would at least confirm it first even though she had no claim over him. I did ask. He said that it's not my business. Mishu gritted her teeth, looking as if she was ready to slap Ren Yuan if he were in front of her. They weren't in a relationship yet, and Mishu didn't even know how Ren Yuan felt about her, so she had every right to feel upset. but she couldn't get angry at the woman or anything since she wasn't Ren Yuan's girlfriend. She could only silently lament over it. Tan Hua was speechless, listening to Mi Shu's rant. She had a feeling that Ren Yuan had said it wasn't Mi Shu's business, not because he wanted to hide something. Instead, wasn't it because he panicked? He must have been too shocked to think straight when Mi Shu confronted him. The woman was probably just a client, and they might have had a meeting in the hotel lobby. But for someone like Ren Yuan, he was too stiff when it came to women. Unlike Nan Shen, who seemed like a perfect gentleman, Ren Yuan had no idea how to handle situations like this. Well, he probably ran away after saying that, only to regret it later. He wanted to clear up the misunderstanding, but didn't know what to say, so he avoided it altogether. A cold man like Ren Yuan, of course. He was terrible at handling emotions. Now, the question was, how could she explain this to Mi Shu? Mi Shu looked both angry and hurt, and she probably wouldn't believe anything Dan Hua said. He's a jerk. I didn't know he played with women like that. Or maybe he already has a girlfriend? Like any main character in a drama, Mi Shu quickly jumped from one assumption to another, and soon she had convinced herself that Ren Yuan already had a girlfriend. No, he's still single, I'm sure. Don't you think that woman might just be his client or something? Tan Hua tried to explain, but Mi Shu was too upset to listen to reason. That day, Tan Hua could only sit by as Mi Shu ranted about Ren Yuan, eventually passing out after drinking to calm herself down. The next day. It's raining. Tan Hua massaged her temples, feeling a headache coming on. Last night, she had to keep Mi Shu company while she drank her frustrations away, and now her head hurt. She wasn't a good drinker to begin with. She had just decided to go back to sleep and cancel her plans for the day when her phone suddenly rang. Yeah. She lazily picked up the phone, about to answer, when the voice on the other end nearly made her heart stop. Tan Hua, it's me. My shoe is gone. The caller was none other than Ren Yuan. Someone who had never called her before was now calling in a panic. What? What happened now? Tan Hua's head throbbed even more. She already felt sick, but Ren Yuan's words nearly stopped her heart. Mi Shu was gone? Did she take the classic runaway route from a drama? It was just a small misunderstanding, for heaven's sake. Why was her best friend so dramatic? Yeah, she called me, wanting to talk about the woman I met at the hotel. But I was in a meeting, so I told her we'd talk later. Then, when I went to her house to bring her lunch, she wasn't there. I tried calling her, but my number is blocked. For the first time in Tan Hua's life, she heard Ren Yuan say more than a single sentence to her, and it was all about Mi Shu. I'll search for her. She's not at my place. Tan Hua groaned, her headache worsening. Was this the fate of the best friend character? Cleaning up misunderstandings between two clueless people? Now, she finally understood how Nan Shen felt as the third wheel, just there to add spice to the story. Could Mi Shu at least use her smart brain and think logically? Ren Yuan was obviously a trustworthy guy, not like a certain troublemaker. Thank you. I also called Nan Shen for help. Ren Yuan cut the call, dropping another bomb on Tan Hua's already exhausted mind. What? He called Nan Shen too? Wasn't this going to lead to another classic drama scenario where the second male lead comforted the female lead, creating even more jealousy? Is this Ren Yuan an idiot? Nan Shen was obviously interested in Mi Shu, and now he had forgotten about her. Did he just create an opportunity for the female lead and second male lead to share a moment together? Whatever. Tan Hua took her umbrella and went to order a taxi. She bet Mi Shu was at a cafe they used to go to or somewhere similar. She should try calling her first. Tut-tut, Pip. My Sha? Tan Hua was quite taken aback when her call was picked up. Since Ren Yuan couldn't reach Mi Shu, she thought she wouldn't be able to either. But to her surprise, someone answered. It's me. I found Mi Shu in a park, in another city. Tan Hua expected Mi Shu to answer, but the voice on the other end was male. And she immediately recognized it. It was Nan Shen. Wait, how the heck are you already there? Didn't Ren Yuan just call you? Tan Hua tapped the driver's shoulder and told him to head toward the neighboring town, her hometown. In fact, I just happened to be here when Ren Yuan called me. I stumbled upon Mi Shu. She won't move from her spot now, so I have to stay with her. Nan Shen shrugged his shoulders as he looked at the woman beside him, who now resembled a lifeless zombie. He had to hold an umbrella for her while talking on the phone in the middle of a heavy downpour. This was a hassle. I'll be there as soon as possible. Call Ren Yuan first. Tan Hua kneaded her temples as she ended the call, feeling her headache intensify. Not only did her head hurt, but now she felt hot. Was she running a fever? After dragging Mi Shu back, she would have to take some medicine. My Shu, could she not act normally? Why was she following the same path as those heartbroken female leads? All over a small misunderstanding. Where did her strong personality go? Meanwhile, Nan Shen sighed as he ended the call with Tan Hua. He was holding a small umbrella to shield Ma Shu from the heavy rain, while he himself was completely exposed. He only had this one umbrella, and his phone battery was running low. He couldn't even call for a bigger umbrella. Nan Shen was soaked from head to toe, using only his suit to shield himself. Mishu, let's go to a cafe first, okay? The rain is too heavy. Nan Shen tried coaching her again, but she just stared into the distance. There weren't any shops or cafes nearby, it was an open park. That made things even more difficult. He needed shelter, but what about Mishu? Seriously, what was wrong with this woman? Was seeing Ren Yuan enter a hotel with another woman really affecting her this much? Or was there something deeper going on? Leave me alone. Mai Shu turned away and pushed the umbrella Nan Shen was holding for her, making it fall to the ground with a faint sound. Truck. She then walked away in the rain, as if running from Nan Shen, unwilling to be consoled by anyone. Wait, where are you going? Nan Shen was about to chase after her, worried when he saw Ren Yuan's car pull up beside Mai Shu, blocking her path. She froze in place. You? Mai Shu was clearly taken aback. She was completely surprised to see Ren Yuan stepping out of his car. Get in. As cold as ever, Ren Yuan simply took out a large umbrella for both of them and told Mishu to get inside. No. Like a classic female lead in a drama, Mishu stubbornly refused his invitation. She knew Ren Yuan was trying to talk things out, but she was being too headstrong. She was about to run away, but before she could, Ren Yuan had already pulled her into the car and drove off, leaving Nan Shen standing in the pouring rain. Broom! Nan Shen stood frozen in place, staring at the umbrella lying on the ground next to him. Ren Yuan had just abandoned him after coming all the way here for Mishu. He had rushed here because Ren Yuan said Mishu was missing. If he had known she would act so irrationally, and that Ren Yuan would completely ignore him, he wouldn't have bothered coming. Damn those two, Nan Shen grumbled, about to pick up the fallen umbrella, when he suddenly realized the rain was no longer hitting his head. Something was shielding him. Are you okay? A small voice spoke from behind him, a voice he knew all too well. The one holding the umbrella over Nan Shen was none other than Tan Hua. She had just arrived, only to find no one except for Nan Shen, standing there completely drenched. Is this the popular scene in drama where the second male lead is left behind by the female lead? It's raining too. Oh God, Nan Shen must be heartbroken now. Did he chase after Mishu just now and get turned away? Tan Hua's head was filled with scenes from dramas she had watched, not realizing that Nan Shen wasn't actually in love with Mishu. Unlike in the dramas, where by this point he would have already fallen head over heels for her, that wasn't the case here. Yeah, I'm okay. Nan Shen didn't know why, but just knowing that Tan Hua was behind him filled his body with warmth. When he realized that Mai Shu didn't appreciate his effort, and neither did Ren Yuan, he felt a bit disappointed in them. But then, the girl he had hurt, the one he hadn't fully remembered yet, the one who boldly declared she would make him fall for her, was the only one who had come to offer him an umbrella. Somehow, it felt nice to be cared for. I'm okay, but you know what? You're too short and the umbrella keeps hitting my head. Just as Tan Hua was about to sigh in relief after tiptoeing to offer what she thought was a comforting gesture, Nan Shen turned around with his lips twitching. Tan Hua had planned to be the one to rescue the poor second male lead after his heartbreak, hoping to make Nan Shen fall for her again. But she hadn't noticed that the umbrella was actually stuck against the top of his head. The umbrella was stuck there. Ah. Tan Hua herself was getting soaked since she had leaned the umbrella toward Nan Shen. When she realized the umbrella was pressed against his head, she was so embarrassed she wanted to disappear. This wasn't supposed to happen. Wasn't this supposed to be a romantic scene where she comforted Nan Shen's wounded heart by offering him her umbrella? And are you serious? Can't you hold an umbrella properly? Nan Shen frowned when he saw that Tan Hua's back was getting wet. He felt irritated for no reason and grabbed the umbrella to cover her instead. But you're soaked from head to toe. Tan Hua fidgeted when Nan Shen casually pulled her closer so they could share the umbrella. I'm fine. I won't get sick. Nan Shen had already taken off his soaked suit as they walked toward a nearby calf. Good then. Tan Hua frowned as her headache worsened. Her body temperature was already high. Oh God, did she just catch a fever too? Thank you, anyway. While Tan Hua was lost in thought, Nan Shen glanced at her and muttered softly, so softly that it was nearly drowned out by the sound of the rain. Huh? What? Tanhua turned her head, feeling dizzy. Her breathing grew shallow, and she suddenly felt really cold despite the heat radiating from her body. Nothing, wait, your face is so red. Nanshan held the umbrella with his left hand and reached out with his right to touch her face. He had a bad feeling about this. What? Red? No, I'm not. Her head spun, and in the next second, she didn't know what happened as everything around her turned black. Bruh. Tanhua. Seeing Tanhua suddenly collapse, Nanshan threw the umbrella aside and caught her in his arms. What happened? How could she wait? Don't tell him she... Srak. Nanshan quickly placed his hand on Tanhua's forehead. As soon as he touched her skin, he instinctively pulled his hand back from the heat. She was burning up. This girl had a fever? She was sick but still ran through the heavy rain to come here? Damn. Nanshan immediately lifted Tanhua into his arms and rushed toward the nearest shelter. There was nowhere to take cover except for a nearby shop. Splash, splash. Nanshan carried Tanhua in his arms as rain poured down on them. He ran as fast as he could, and within a minute he reached a cafe for shelter. Ting ting ting. Welcome, sir. The waiter was about to greet Nanshan properly when he strode in and gave orders like a boss. Bring me to a VIP room. Get me a phone charger, towels, and hot water now. Nanshan's strong presence, carrying Tanhua in his arms, immediately drew the attention of everyone in the cafe. That man is so handsome. One girl whispered to her friend, mesmerized by Nanshan's drenched yet striking appearance. Unlike someone who looked pitiful when wet, he somehow looked even more charming. But he's carrying a girl. I bet she's his girlfriend. Another girl sighed, looking at Tanhua, who had already lost consciousness. Tanhua had left in such a hurry that she hadn't bothered with any disguises. Right now, she was in her usual appearance as a girl. This way, sir. The waiter immediately noticed that Nanshan wasn't an ordinary customer. Upon hearing his order, he quickly called for other waiters to bring the requested items as he led Nanshan to the VIP room. Cluck. Leave the things here and get out. I'll take 2 hot teas, Nanshan said as he carried Tanhua again, carefully placing her on a long sofa inside the VIP room. He quickly turned off the air conditioner after settling her down. Yes, sir. The waiter rushed out after closing the door, feeling nervous at how Nanshan ordered them around so confidently. This customer must be someone important. You silly. Nanshan sighed as he looked at Tanhua, who was struggling with a fever, her clothes still damp from the rain. This girl was so reckless. She was already sick, yet she still went out in the cold rain just to look for her best friend. Not only that, but she even gave him her umbrella when his was thrown away, without caring that she would end up completely soaked. As a man, he could handle a bit of rain. But her? She was already unwell. What was she thinking? Nanshan didn't realize how deeply worried he had become. He just felt a strong urge to scold Tanhua for being so careless. Her face was so pale now, clearly showing how sick she was. Couldn't she take better care of herself? Fuck, Nanshan muttered as he began taking off his wet shirt. Seeing Tanhua looking so unwell, he couldn't help but feel uneasy. Srak. Nanshan tossed his shirt onto the table and waited for the towels to be delivered. He was drenched from head to toe, and since he didn't want to catch a cold himself, removing his wet clothes was the only option. Silly, really an idiot, Nanshan mumbled, glancing at Tanhua again. She had known she wasn't feeling well, yet she still lent him her umbrella and rushed out in this freezing weather. It wasn't surprising that she had collapsed like this. Cluck. Sir, here's the towel, charger, and hot tea. Just as Nanshan was still half-dressed, the waiter returned, placing the items on the table before quickly retreating, as if he had just seen something he shouldn't have. That man looked so composed, even while half-dressed. Even though the waiter was straight, he couldn't help but be impressed by Nanshan's presence. He was jealous. Now what should I do? Nanshan frowned, looking at Tanhua, who was still in her wet clothes. He needed to do something about that. Should he ask a waitress for help? No. He himself wasn't fully dressed right now. Any female staff coming in would likely make a fuss about it, and he definitely didn't want that. Troublesome. Nanshan sighed, grabbing a towel from the table before walking over to the sofa where Tanhua lay. She needed dry clothes, but they had none at the moment. He would have to wipe her down first, then ask for medicine and spare clothes once his phone was charged. Srak. Forgive me. Nanshan coughed a little as he began wiping Tanhua's face with the warm towel. He felt slightly awkward doing this, knowing it wasn't entirely appropriate, but he had no other choice. He needed to bring down her fever. He carefully wiped her forehead and face before moving down to her neck. He suddenly realized how delicate her skin looked after being wiped with the warm towel, which briefly distracted him. Wait, no. He wasn't supposed to think about that. Focus. This was for Tanhua's well-being, nothing else. Nan Shen swallowed hard as he continued wiping her arms. Her hands were still damp from the rain, so he made sure to dry them properly. She was wearing short sleeves, so it wasn't difficult until he reached her palms. Her hands were so small, and her fingers, compared to his, they looked tiny and delicate. Well, it wasn't bad. Actually, it was kind of adorable. Nan Shen found himself gently squeezing her hand, much like one would when holding something fragile. Suddenly, memories surfaced, memories of him holding her hand before. Had he held this girl's hand before? Wait, what was this? A date? This had happened recently? But why could he only remember the sensation of holding her hand? It had felt soft and smooth. Wait, no. That wasn't the issue here. The problem is, did he really go on a date with this girl? He knew that he wouldn't go on a date with someone he didn't like, even if his parents forced him. So if he had memories of holding this girl's hand on a date but didn't really remember, did that mean he had loved this girl before? But that was impossible. Nan Shen felt like his head would explode if he kept thinking about it. He couldn't believe he had fallen for someone like her, but looking at how she had treated him before. Well, it wouldn't be so bad if he really had loved her at some point. Now let's wipe her legs. As for her body, he needed the spare clothes first. Nan Shen quickly wiped Tanhua's other hand and moved to her legs before calling his men to bring 2 sets of clothes along with medicine. His phone was finally working again. Bring my car to XX Caf in the next town. Prepare spare clothes and medicine too, Nan Shen ordered, ensuring that everything was arranged. While waiting for his men, he sipped his hot tea, letting the warmth calm his nerves. He had decided he would change his clothes and take Tanhua to his house. She needed proper care, but for some reason, he didn't want to take her to a hospital. He would take care of her himself. 15 minutes later, Nan Shen finally received the clothes and medicine. By now, he had already changed into dry clothes, and it felt much better. Now, this girl. He couldn't possibly change Tanhua's clothes here, so he decided to have his household staff take care of it later. For now, he would cover her with a large towel and get her into the car. Carrying her once again, Nan Shen left the VIP room, letting his men handle the bill while he carefully placed Tanhua in the car. The rain had stopped, so there was no need for an umbrella.